Telstra's tower at Mullumbimby is just one of thousands of sites being upgraded to 5G across the country. Australia's telecommunications companies are spending billions of dollars building networks that they say will transform how we live and work, with no risk to our health. Here on the Gold Coast, Telstra has built an innovation centre to show off what 5G can do.
What we're looking at here is a 5G device. So with a 4G device, we're talking about downloading an HD movie in minutes. But this is 5G technology, and we're using...
Channa Senavaratna is driving Telstra's 5G rollout.
What we can do is download an HD movie in seconds. So minutes versus seconds. That's kind of the difference between the two technologies.
And is that absolutely how fast this is going to ever get?
Look, this is only the beginning. It's going to be twice, 3 times faster than this in the next few years.
Well, that's great. That's fantastic. So you spent billions and billions of dollars all across the world so that I can do my gaming faster and download my movies quicker. Oh, you are so kind. Oh, that the government can give such thought to my gaming skills and my movie watching. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's all about improving my download speed. Nothing to do with turning our cities into smart surveillance cities where we can be permanently locked down and imprisoned.
Some people also say that, particularly with 5G millimetre wave technology, there is concern because it will mean more antennas all over the place and therefore more radiation out in the atmosphere that we will be exposed to. What do you think about that claim?
So far, the research suggests that it's just not the case. Generally, what you do is you have more antennas so that you can reduce the actual exposure. The further you are from an antenna, the more the antenna has to work, the more energy it has to pump into the environment. So tests comparing, for instance, the latest rollout of 5G against 4G finds very similar levels. And I must say the levels are generally about 100 to 1,000 times lower than are permitted by the guidelines. They're exceedingly small.
No studies? You've got to be kidding me. You really have to be kidding me, don't you? No studies, eh? Except for the one on ants, which can be used as bioindicators to reveal biological effects of EMF waves. Or the UNESCO study, which was a 15-year study on how EMF affects migratory patterns of birds. I suppose that doesn't count either, does it? Or how trees are injured around where mobile phone base stations are planted. That study doesn't count either, does it? Even the poor little frogs are affected. Mobile phone masts affect some common frog. But we won't mention that, will we? How about fruit flies then? Fruit flies, will that do it for you? Maybe honeybees? Huh? The nice honeybees that pollinate everything? Maybe that'll do something? Maybe wild mammals, you know, those things that run around in the forest, maybe them? Doesn't matter to you, does it? Nah. How about changes in mice then? Yeah, don't you like mice? Plants? How about plants? You do need to eat, don't you? Well, at least you won't need rat poison anymore, will you? And who needs trees? I mean, they just get in the way anyway.
At the bottom end of the radiation scale of what's called power density, or signal strength, is the minimum level at which cell phones will work, which was found to be 0.2 billionths of a microwatt per centimeter squared. Pine needles were found to age prematurely at 0.000027. At short-term exposures of 0.05, children aged 8 to 17 experienced headache, irritation, concentration difficulties, and behavioral problems. Point 1 is the Biobiology or Building Biology Guideline for extreme concern. 1.0 produced sperm DNA fragmentation and a decrease in sperm viability in vitro. Also at 1.0, the science shows the following bodily effects can occur: headaches, dizziness, fatigue, insomnia, chest pain, difficulty breathing, and indigestion. 2.5 saw altered calcium metabolism in heart muscle cells. 4.0, changes in the hippocampus affecting brain memory and learning. And at 6.0, DNA damage in cells. So, where are smart meters on this list? Electrical Power Institute in December 2010 measured a single Itron smart meter with pulses up to 7.93 microwatts per centimeter squared. Our own testing indicated approximately 8.0 with 1 meter. These tests are at a close distance, approximately 1 foot away from the meter, but an infant's crib could be just as close on the other side of the wall where the meter or bank of meters are installed. Even though there are all these known health effects at levels far lower, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and Luxembourg see fit to set the standard at 9.5. And China, Poland, and Russia, 10.0. This is the same level at which behavior has been altered, producing reflexes of avoidance following 30-minute exposures. A room of 12 smart meters, very common and even a conservative number in an apartment building, tested at 19.8 microwatts per centimeter squared. This is hundreds of times higher than levels which clearly indicate harmful effects. So how can utilities and governments get away with forcing these devices on everyone? This is how. In Canada and the US and several other civilized countries, the safety limit is set at 600 to 1,000 microwatts per centimeter squared. This so-called safety limit is literally tens of thousands of times higher than levels which are known to damage health, according to peer-reviewed published science.
You are a paid propagandist and a shill for the industry. Well, since you launched an ad hominem attack on Dr. Cowan, because he was using GC math to help a cancer patient, and we all know that Big Pharma doesn't like the use of GC math, so they got him on technicalities about his paperwork. Seeing as he was fair game, I think that makes you fair game as well. So we're going to have a look at your interests, who is paying you, and if there's a conflict of interest. Well, Mr. Croft works for the ICNIRP, which is the International Commission for the Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection. So he works for that institute, and in this declaration of personal interest that we found from 2015, we can see that it pays quite well. Let's see if we can find it. Here we go. There, 156,000 a year. So all we've got to say about that is that if you're paid not to understand something, then you don't understand it. And that's exactly what's happening here. He's paid not to understand what's happening. And he's making sure that he doesn't understand it. And he calls everyone else that wants to really delve into it a conspiracy theorist, because he's an industry shill. And if you don't know what this industry is, let's just have a look at this paper. This next paper, which is from the International Journal of Oncology, did a review on radio frequency radiation and health, and they have to say about the damage that radiation can do. They refer to this institute here. Let me see if I can find that. Tells us here that it's a private organization based in Germany. New expert members can only be elected by members of ICNIRP. Many of the ICNIRP members have ties to the industry that is dependent on the ICNIRP guidelines. The guidelines are of huge economic and strategic importance to the military, telecom, IT, and power industry. So there you have it then. It is an industry lobbying unit attached to the universities and to NGOs. So there you have it. Not only that, but he obtained his PhD at Imperial College. Now that rings a bell. Where have I heard that before? Imperial College. Oh, that's right. Bill Gates. He's got a connection to Imperial College. In fact, he funds Imperial College, and they're busy with the vaccine alliance. Huh? That's it. Ah, now I remember. It's where Neil Ferguson come from, didn't it? With his disastrous modelling, COVID modelling that predicted 500,000 deaths. And then he resigned because he was such a hypocrite. And when his coding was examined, it was absolutely crap. Yeah, okay, well, seems like Imperial College, which is funded by Gates, is churning these, well, you know, respectable scientists out who'll do anything for money.
The voice current, or the audio frequency current, as it comes from the transformer, is amplified by vacuum tubes, such as these.
Concerns about radiation have been around for more than 100 years.
In such a manner as to produce waves which travel through the air.
Doctors first wrote about what they called radiophobia as early as 1903 to describe people who were afraid of radio speakers.
Yet anxieties about power lines have...
In the 80s, it was the radiation emitted by power lines.
They're invisible and just about everywhere.
Do we play Russian roulette with people's children?
Should you be taking steps to keep your kids away from electromagnetic fields?
Microwave cooking units, like those in the NASA Lunar Receiving Laboratory.
There was a very big community concern when microwave ovens came out.
Keep your eye on the chocolate cupcake. It rises faster than you can eat it.
There was concern that food being cooked in it would be poisonous.
This is cooking by microwave. Cooking.
Did you hear that? You're a radiophobe. A real Luddite. You're probably afraid of microwaves and phones as well. You're just completely unscientific. You know nothing. You're just an idiot. Go away. You're a loony. Don't ask questions. Isn't it strange, though, that when we had our first pandemic, which killed quite a few people around the world, which was known as the Spanish flu, was the time when actually radio waves were first launched around the world from naval stations. And it didn't start in Spain. They called it Spanish flu. That's just misdirection again. It started in the US, near the naval stations, which used radio to contact their ships. So about that time, about the end of the First World War, they started with the radio waves, and people started getting sick. Now, isn't that a surprise? Watch this next video.
The broadcast radiation tower technology spread like wildfire across the nations. Then, in 1918, disaster struck. A condition was being noticed among the general public that seemed as though it could not be explained. Headaches, nausea, fever, dizziness, weakness, dry cough, runny nose, and shortness of breath. The symptoms seemed to be that of what we call today the flu or coronavirus. However, in 1918, doctors had little understanding of what it is they were looking at. Most of the history written about what was ultimately called the Spanish flu of 1918 was written in hindsight, such as the term influenza virus did not exist until 1931, coined by Ernest William Goodpasture. In 1912, Goodpasture graduated from the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine with an MD degree. There, under Professors William H. Welch and George H. Whipple, he was subsequently appointed a Rockefeller Fellow in Pathology. After graduating Johns Hopkins, he joined the Harvard Medical School. In 1919, he undertook the pathological study of the then seemingly unknown pandemic engulfing the world with up to 50 million deaths recorded. In 1931, the Rockefeller Fellow-funded Dr. Goodpasture announced that he had made the breakthrough in recreating and identifying the underlying cause of the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 to 1920. This was the moment that concreted the belief by the American public, as well as people around the world, that in fact, an influenza virus had killed 50 million people in the 1918 pandemic. John D. Rockefeller and his powerful friends like Frederick Taylor Gates, grandfather to now known Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft, co-founder of the Johns Hopkins University-sponsored Event 201, that on October 18, 2019, held a live tabletop exercise in New York City simulating a world response to a severe pandemic outbreak of the same influenza strain that was claimed to have killed 50 million in 1918. The same people, the same organizations, and the same cover-up.
Hang on a minute, are you telling me that the same people are involved? The same ones that were involved 100 years ago? When the electromagnetism was an issue and the bringing in of the radio, and now and Johns Hopkins University Hospital was involved, and they're involved again, and we've got another pandemic. Come on now. Next you'll be telling me that Trump's uncle was the one who was busy with the research into the millimeter microwaves and the magnetron in America to do with MIT. He was? And Trump signed it into law?
Damn!
Damn! And Trump signed it into law?
Damn!
And the Rockefeller Institute was involved back then, and they're involved again, and they planned it all in lockstep? Is that what you're telling me? Damn.
Damn!
Damn.
The coincidental arrival of COVID-19 and the rollout of 5G networks sparked one of the wildest conspiracy theories of all. The coronavirus was caused by 5G.
Concerning the impacts, such as the inability to breathe, such as having a cough with no phlegm. Rather odd for pneumonia, wouldn't you say? And things like suddenly falling over with no other signs of sickness. All of these things can be related to something completely different than a virus. So let's explore this little reported fact about what has been happening in CH. Did you know that this country went live with fully functional FIVEG? Here you can see the announcement from a Chinese website all the way back from 2018 in April that WUHAN, we all know that city by now, don't we, will be a pilot city. Here it says a large-scale FIVEG network engineering program will be piloted in Wuhan.
It ends by saying by 2020, 5G network will cover every corner of the city and be available at an affordable price.
This country went live with, yep, look at your screen, guys. It went live by fall 2019. Furthermore, their hospitals have been supercharged with this most of all, FIVEG or 60 gigahertz frequencies. Yes, here you can see Huawei, CH biggest telecom provider, is attempting to show their philanthropy by donating FIVEG equipment to that. Everybody heard about the hospital that went up in 6 days, right? Did you hear that they donated the equipment to it before they even were functioning? Oh, isn't that nice of them? There were tons of articles all over the internet I was able to find talking about the hospitals being completely set up with this frequency-bearing technology. Now, what does it do? For those of you who don't already know, in 2015, over 200 scientists from 41 different countries already communicated their alarm to the United Nations, to the UN, and to the WHO. By 2019, 26,000 scientists had signed the petition calling for a moratorium, an urgent and complete halt to the FIVEG rollout due to its having been proven, quote, harmful for humans and the environment. So, FIVEG, specifically the 60 gigahertz frequency that is being used in CH right now, and by the way, which is slated to be released all across America, has very specific biological impacts that very few people realize. How these impacts from this radiation can perfectly mimic the pandemic that everyone is up in arms about.
We did not recognise the possibility that some of these claims are being generated by hostile governments or by others who have a motive to try and create instability and disorder in democracies like Australia. We know that disinformation and misinformation has been an issue in elections in other countries, and so that cannot be ruled out, in my view, as a possible driver of some of this.
So in particular, people have, in relation to this issue, have talked about Russia potentially being interested in doing that. Would you agree that that's a possibility?
Look, I'm not going to be commenting on any individual nation. I simply make the general point that it is pretty well accepted in the commentary and analysis on this issue that there's a high likelihood that state actors are involved. And when you look at something which is entirely without any scientific basis and where there appears to be a systematic effort to try and raise concerns that are in fact without substance, this appears to be what is occurring, or at least one of the factors in relation to misinformation and disinformation in relation to 5G.
Is that the best you can do, really? Four corners. You call that investigative journalism. So now you're either a loony, if you question it, or you're a state actor. A state actor. Russian. Come on. Don't you think it's getting a bit lame now? Russia did it. You talk about state actors. The only state actor that's been interfering everywhere is Great Britain. Their secret service with the Steele dossier and the golden showers on the mattress in Moscow, which was a complete fake story. So yeah, okay, if you question the validity of 5G, then obviously you're either a loony, a conspiracy theorist, or a state actor. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to leave you with this.